Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on when you're watching this, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Schmoe Me the Money, where we will be talking the penultimate episode of WandaVision, where we got a lot of questions answered, but we had more questions come up. So this is going to be an interesting episode. Geoff, Dan, how's it going?
It's going well.
Swell. I'm swell. I was turned into a newt by a witch, but I got better.
Oh, Dan, you're so
congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats. But no, we'll just kind of get started here. The episode literally starts in 1693 in Salem, Massachusetts. So Agatha has been a witch for a very, very, very long time.
And she looked great back then.
She looked pretty good.
Hasn't aged a day.
I think that the de-aging technology there really worked pretty well. I think it's, considering she's not, she looks like great as is, so they didn't have to do a whole lot. Just like the de-aging for Samuel L. Jackson, Captain Marvel was like minimal because all they did was just slightly smooth his skin.
Yeah.
So
if you would have asked me, I would not have noticed heavily that there was de-aging. If you said, was she de-aged, I would have said, maybe.
So I think that just because we've been pretty positive on a lot of stuff involving this. While I enjoyed seeing this, it felt sort of tacked on a bit. The scene,
this episode, the scene,
this introductory scene. He hasn't said a pun yet. He just quoted Monty Python so far.
Joseph.
But it felt like when they gave the backstory, it showed she was bad. It didn't explain why. It just said that she was being bad somehow, without any reasoning, and they didn't really explain it at all. And then they all just shot magic at her, and I think we're just supposed to assume that they're trying to kill, but then she backtracks and she's able to suck the life out of them, which by the way, that imagery, that is TV-14 imagery, that is not TV-PG imagery that we saw of those bodies.
They did. They looked extremely decomposed.
It felt, I don't know, it felt like the writing for that scene could have made it a little clearer as to why they were doing it and her reasoning, other than she's like, yes, I'm an evil witch and you're all witches that want to be good. I don't know. It felt a little odd. I mean, I like seeing some of that stuff. I just wish it was given better context.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my feeling for the whole. I like the episode, but this one, on a whole, the information and the stuff we get, I think, was necessary. It just stinks that it's the second to last episode that this happens, because there's going to be a lot that we're going to discuss more, certainly, but the last episode has a lot of weight to carry still.
Yeah, they have a lot of things to wrap up, so I'm hoping that it's a little bit longer than the 42 minutes. It's got to be at least 60 for me. Was
this 42 minutes, which means it was 35 minutes?
Probably.
No, this one was like 37 minutes.
Yeah, let me see.
Timeline.
No, it's 45.
Yeah, it's 46. It says 46 minutes. So that would mean that it's a 39-minute episode.
Dan, they were witches. Agatha was a bitch. Yeah, she literally has a lot. I did not break your rules. They simply bent to my power.
I will admit, there was a lot of really cool dialogue in this episode.
Oh, no, there was great dialogue. I felt like just the context could have been a little clearer.
I gave a negative. I just say the writing and some of the turn of phrase in this episode was some of my favorite in the season.
Oh my God. What was it? There was one that just looks like it's going to become a meme now whenever you're thinking about what a movie is going to like if you're watching a show and you have theories. What was it? She said it's like, I like that. I have a few theories, but I need to see more or something like that.
Oh, that is definitely
that is going to be a GIF that's going to be used.
Yeah.
They then shoot their magic at her. It's all blue. She then starts to drain it where hers is purple, which we saw last week.
which
We know
purple
that.
typically is a villain color in
Yes.
superhero lore, Marvel very specifically. Purple is
And
bad.
and then she basically drains all of the life force of all of the, I guess, lackey witches, you could say. And then we see, I thought this was really cool. The little crown.
Shot.
I thought this
Very,
crown was pretty
very
cool.
reminiscent of Scarlet Witch's headpiece. I mean, without the middle prongs, but no, I'm with you. That was a cool shot.
So anyways, they're telling me to explain this in the chat. Why are the credits so damn long? All right, well, here's the deal. We're going to go shot by shot, and I'm going to read to you every single name on there. By the time it's over, you'll realize how many people need credits. Does that work for you?
There's
Cool.
that's why it's purple. Yeah, which again, it's Kevin Feige, so would you expect anything less? So then
Maybe.
we jump back to present day, literally leaving off where we were in last week's episode, where we start to learn a little bit more about Agatha. You have something to say,
I
Geoff?
have another issue. Yeah. I guess didn't last week's episode though end with Agatha coming up and like touching her and or whatever?
No.
putting some sort of spell behind her eyes.
She didn't touch her. She just used her magic on her.
And I thought she was it looked like she was putting a spell on her for something, but in the beginning of this episode, nothing.
This is a good theory that the Scarlet Witch is a moniker just like the Sorcerer Supreme. It's given to the most powerful witch.
I'm hesitant to go that route just because of, like, I hate jumping ahead, what Agatha says later about her magic being a myth. Like, unless her mother was keeping a secret from Agatha, I don't know if that's necessarily the route that what Wanda's able to do, and like the Scarlet Chaos magic was something that no one had seen before. It was mythical, so that's why I'm hesitant to go that route.
I mean, it's not a bad theory.
No.
Oh yeah, maybe Joe's right. It was just simply showing her what happened with the Agatha all along part. I don't know. I just the way it felt like it was, I guess, shown. It felt like it could have
Or
been.
like this.
Yeah,
she
Nexus,
is.
Which
Okay.
I mean, Nexus
Did
was
we-
red.
Did we? So because there's no sitcoms anymore, we didn't get a commercial, correct?
No.
No, and also something else. I know that this is something that I was guessing, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. The two people in the commercials were not her parents.
Right.
They're just, I wonder who they
People.
are now.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how those two, because they weren't even like the people, they weren't people that showed up at all in this episode. So they're not people from her tragic backstory that was being explained.
Yeah, I
So,
wonder. They might be
curious
townspeople.
how those faces, but they haven't been shown. So I'm curious.
So they then go through, there's this whole speech. Wanda tries to use her magic on Agatha, but she can't because of the
Ruins.
the ruins and the protection spell that Agatha set up. So basically only she can use her magic down there. We then find out that she created the fake Pietro. So it was a massive troll by Feige and Disney and Marvel the entire time. It's
Huge troll job.
That was like, I was like damn, Feige.
Like,
damn.
okay, making a fake Pietro, that's one thing. Using specifically Evan Peters to make a fake Pietro, that is, and not using that as any sort of like, because this is supposed to lead into the reality busting worlds of Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2, and not using it to somehow connect something or to pull something over, just like that is some next level trolling.
I was like, damn, Feige, you're just straight flexing your muscle. Basically, it's like I can get whoever I want, is basically what that showed. Like he can,
and we still are going to see him again next week because, I mean, I assume that we'll see him next week because we didn't see what happened to Monica this week.
No, we didn't. This was I believe this is the only episode besides the first one we didn't.
Besides the first one.
Yeah, we didn't see Monica.
Yeah.
Maddie. If I was, let's just spend a shit ton of money on that.
Yeah, well, they have it.
They do. They definitely do have the money there. So
Insane.
I was like, wow, that was a troll job. Okay, Feige. Like, I love you, Feige, but that one kind of hurt.
Well, yeah, it hurt a bit, but I mean, like, it probably hurts. Do we say more or less than the quote unquote troll job of like Iron Man 3? Which, by the way, I love that one.
I don't think
know
that was a
that's
troll
much
job,
more
though.
divisive. It's a bit of it's a little bit of a.
It was a bait and switch.
It was
Yeah,
a bait and
Certainly a
switch.
bait and switch.
It's a bait and switch. I mean, a troll job this was a bait and switch though. Of is it Pietro or not? Yeah.
And not to derail things, but with the new Shang-Chi movie, there's certainly going to be possibilities that the Mandarin in its original iteration could make a return.
Yes.
Oh no, it will. It's Tony Leung.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Tony Leung.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to come
awesome.
out in like May or something?
We don't know when anything's coming out, Bug.
No, I just mean the original release date. I thought was sometime in 2021.
The original release date was going to be like February of this year.
Okay, all right, so that's what it was.
And
Never
clearly,
mind.
You're just making me
we're
sad.
at the end of February now, so
Just making me sad that we haven't gotten all this yet.
So it sounds like throughout this
bullshit.
Like this episode, definitely, if you are a emotional person, you're extremely connected to the MCU, this was a hard episode for you to get through because we saw all of the tragic moments for Wanda. We then go through like a special door to when Wanda is a child with her mom and dad and brother. Pietro's extremely loud. I love what I can say. We're right here. You don't need to yell. Something Dan pointed out. If this takes place in 1999, why is there a Malcolm in the Middle?
Right.
Okay.
If her parents died in 1999, there would not have been a box set of Malcolm in the Middle yet.
Because it didn't come out to what?
So
2000,
did
right?
that say 1999? Did that say 1999?
No, it's just known that her parents died in 1999. The bombing happened.
Yeah, because the show started
we will bring
in
you
like
on for that.
The show started in like 99 or 2000. So
it was 2000. So this, to me, we're just in some alternate reality, some multiverse, different version of Earth where Malcolm in the Middle was released in 1999.
It's also just telling her. It's also just
yeah.
It's also just like a memory, and memories aren't always accurate.
Right. Right.
All that matters is the trauma.
Maybe it was a screener copy. But
I did like the reference when they wanted to watch Dick Van Dyke to the Walnut episode because
it looked like
go ahead.
So much of the structure, much of the structure of the first episode. No, I agree 100% with you.
And then there's reference to the Brady Bunch episode where was it Cindy? Sorry, I'm forgetting names.
Yeah,
Cindy accuses Bobby of taking her child, her doll, and again another reference to Wanda's kids being taken by Agatha.
Like I think that what's funny is how we were also focused originally, like, oh yeah, the first episode was definitely I Love Lucy in a way, and it's because we were thinking so much of just like Wanda in the kitchen and all the hijinks in there, and I think it's funny how it turned out that it was more of a Dick Van Dyke episode than it was I Love Lucy.
Right. Well, and what did we say? The I think we talked about it in our first episode though that the house layout was more similar to Dick Van Dyke than it was Lucy.
I didn't even realize because I've never seen Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. Like I believe that's the back. I believe I used a Dick Van Dyke background even.
Yeah, I believe you did.
I believe you did as well.
Let's go check the tape.
No, thank you.
Okay, going to the monitor.
But I do want to reference this, Maddie. When that movie does come out, we will bring you on to discuss that movie. There's
Only they didn't fuck up Iron Fist,
right? Yeah, that was not very good.
Well, luckily, hopefully it's not canon.
Yeah, I hope not. I really hope
not. At the end of Iron Fist season 2, he did have iron guns. I don't know if you watched Iron Fist season 2.
I
He
unfortunately
can control guns with it at the end, and they
a little bit about Dan. Iron Fist is one of my favorite Marvel properties, and I was very, very disappointed with
Oh, I bet you were.
the Netflix show.
Maddie. And we will love to have you on to discuss anything, Maddie. Definitely, there's a lot of things that we have in the works, so it's going to be extremely fun. What?
More like Iron Fisted.
So then they start watching the
rated
show.
R version, rated R Marvel movie.
So then they start watching the show, and a explosion happens, and it's the scene that they back in Avengers: Age of Ultron that Wanda and Pietro were describing. And in this episode, we find out that she had magic at that age, or she was using it. She just didn't know that she was.
Latent magic ability, in theory, some probability manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny is she's just saying that she.
There's an assumption that that's why.
There's an assumption that that's why that they sat there for 2-3 days or whatever. Just
they survived for 2 days, and that the bomb didn't go off, even though it was active.
Yeah,
but
I guess
I did like that the blinking on the bomb tied in with the toaster from episode 1, and that again the reference to that first commercial we got.
Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, if we go back, a lot of those things might have been similar to her trauma.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. 100%.
Because what was the second commercial?
The watch, the Hydra watch.
And there was going into Hydra.
Yep.
And then
you mean this?
Of course.
That's the next place that they go is when
combines second and third. So
with the scepter.
Right.
Because of the Hydra wash. Yeah.
Yeah, the soap.
Yeah. Which is, it's related to the whatever the hell it's called, the scepter.
The conditioning that she goes through.
Mm-hmm.
So this shot, right? I love this shot though, where she reaches out and it explodes. Like this was actually seen in one of the trailers early on, so everyone thought that's how Vision was alive. Was she took a Mind Stone from Mind Stone from like a different reality.
What's interesting though is so actually Paulina brought this up from looking it up online, and it's this idea that it's obvious that the Mind Stone there. It was attracted to her,
yes,
too, and it brings up this question of how much of Vision was actually attracted to her. Was it Vision? Was it
the
Mind Stone?
Yeah,
that helped emphasize that attraction.
Very interesting point.
It's a curious,
fascinating point.
Thought.
And then there is this. This is what she sees. It's the Scarlet Witch, whether it's her or someone else.
A vision of what her future holds or whatever. Yeah, nope, that was a cool shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like the thing is though, it's extremely quick. So if you're not paying attention, you don't really see it. Like it's maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds. So
Pauline, or I meant Maddie there. Maddie, how much? What do
have
mean,
you seen her?
Yes, but he's like a cybernetic synthezoid, so it's a little different, and also he has the Mind Stone when he like gets with her, and the Mind Stone obviously was like attracted.
We're gonna get
her.
into a whole discussion about free will and determinism.
It is interesting though that her walking up to the scepter and everything. I guess the Mind Stone has the ability to edit out tape.
Yeah, because what they are seeing is that she like walks up to it, and then she's on the ground.
One thing that I don't, maybe it's been discussed more than what I've seen though, is like Agatha mentions that it had the ability to tap into latent abilities. So to me, okay, that explains Wanda, but what about Pietro? And this is where the mutants come in. To me, is this saying that Pietro maybe had latent an X gene or a mutant gene, and the Mind Stone uncovered that, and that's where we're going to get mutants coming in from WandaVision, because the power that this Mind Stone has, whether it's through the Hex or Wanda or something, unlocks all these latent abilities that people with mutant genes have. Because again, we explained Wanda, but we have zero explanation for how Pietro gets speed.
And I mean, like, it also happens to do with I mean, when it comes to Monica got her genes, I mean, technically, are they making her a mutant now?
Right, yeah, going through that.
Because I mean, like, they could have easily explained it away as she's gone through it 3 times, and because of that reality warping, it's just done stuff. But if they're able to use the Hex as a way to unlock the X gene, that would also be, a pretty clever way to kind of bring that stuff out. I think that it's a curious thing because of what is and is not, I guess, X-Men related still. Like, seriously, this Evan Peters thing really throws me through a loop. Like, it's just
messing with you.
Goddamn Kevin Feige.
Again, this comes up to what Buck said at the onset. A lot of questions are answered, but this is a big question that's still going to be lingering, and it's probably still going to be lingering post this show being done.
Unless they literally come out blatantly state it in the final episode. Yes. Oh, or like, you had these powers, but the mind, like, they would literally have to force feed it.
Yeah.
To get the answer. So the next scene, technically the next scene is she's back in like her room. She's watching the Brady Bunch with Cindy, as Geoff was stating.
Oh, yeah.
And then we move, I guess, locations. This is during Civil War, where she's in her room at the Avengers compound, and look what she's watching. Malcolm in the Middle.
In that time frame, that show would definitely be on a DVD.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe even Blu-ray.
I mean, it is 2016, so most likely.
Well, no, is it 2016 or is it a little later? Because remember, everything is a couple years ahead.
I don't even want to think about the timeline in years. Before Endgame, it gets so confusing. Like, what they did with Spider-Man Homecoming really threw it off for me.
Yeah, I think they just did it, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we gotta backtrack that."
But this scene does have probably one of the best lines in maybe the entire MCU said by Vision.
Oh, when he says, "Oh, are you playing it?"
I'm trying to find this. If you guys could just talk a little bit.
I'm trying to. It is funny though. It's just.
Oh, by the way, I want a Vision sweater. By the way, I want a Vision sweater.
You mean just a sweater with a collar?
Shh.
The funniest thing is the idea of like remember how he looks when it came to Age of Ultron, and the next time we see him, he's wearing sweaters because he's just trying to be a person, and it just looks so silly. Yeah. It is purposefully silly, and now we're so used to him wearing clothes.
Right.
Oh man.
But no, this discussion certainly laid the foundation for their relationship.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It was very sweet. It was very kind, and it also, one of the things it does is it helps expose and it's ironic to say this, Vision's humanity a bit early on for him. Yeah. In his story, I mean, I say early on considering this is like so far in, but like early on for his story. Mm-hmm. And one thing I like about like this sort of thing is it's having these conversations that help reveal layers are the kind that work without like necessarily having like a retcon on stuff that's happened.
Right.
So that I appreciate. And of course it has that whole thing of him walking through the wall, which just seems to be a problem of his.
I mean, he was very young. and we also don't know when this takes place. Like this could have taken place before the events of Civil War, so in between Age of Ultron and Civil War.
Probably was beforehand, only because it seems as though Civil War is when they're together, so it might be good.
And
well,
Clint
yeah.
breaks her out of the compound.
Mm-hmm. So,
and she still got some accent.
Yeah. I mean, they still have yet to actually they've made so many references to her accent this show after people have like criticized the is she using an accent, is she not? But they haven't like I guess really said why she changed it. So,
boom, found it.
There we go.
But what is grief if not love persevering?
Yeah. No, that's a wonderful line, and
it's a really good line.
Like,
absolutely.
Like,
and again,
a lot of people have said this episode alone should get an Emmy for directing, writing, acting for both of them. Like, they both did incredible. Them and Catherine Hahn should all
to me
at least be nominated, but Elizabeth Olsen has to win for best lead actress in a comedy drama.
In comedy, no, this would be limited series.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. To me, the best bit was still the credits running scene a few episodes back, but like this moment was wonderful. And again, I think because Paul Bettany is Paul Bettany, and just saying it in his kind of smooth British accent makes it that much better too. like if like Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. says it, it's not as impactful as like how Paul Bettany could say it.
Have you seen like the brief clip online of him taking the Vision makeup off of him? And he's taking it off in the mirror, and I guess crew is like filming him. You only see him in the mirror, and he's like taking it off. You see like it peeling off, and he peels off more of his face, and someone goes, "Oh my God, it's Ewan McGregor!" And he just starts cracking up in the mirror.
I'm getting visions of like Scooby-Doo, Old Man Jenkins.
So the next scene is right before the events of the show, really. She goes to Sword, and we really find out how that whole scene transpired. She doesn't end up... Yeah, fuck Hayward. Like, I want to talk about this. Like, a lot of people are theorizing that Hayward is a Skrull. So is it possible he is taken over after this point, or is he just manipulating?
I think he's just a simple. He's a very classic kind of villain, which is the guy who is in charge of the military group, who is the one who focuses more on the expensive weapon because that's how humans are. It's a very simple role, and he plays that douchebag mentality efficiently.
He's all about coulda and not shoulda.
So I want to bring this up. Does anyone know the significance to this shot?
Is it that his ring finger doesn't have a ring?
No. So
is it that he can't flip people off because his middle finger's gone?
So there is a shot in Age of Ultron of him in the cradle where his finger is twitching. It looks exactly like this. So I thought that was a pretty interesting callback to
when I go through my MCU rewatch this year, I will look for that exact shot.
But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you that either Hayward is very much a dick, which that is kind of established, or he was purposefully trying to goad Wanda on doing that, trying to get her to use her powers to try and maybe reactivate it. Because one, we see him manipulate the footage when he shows like Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and all of them there. It's like Wanda busts in, and
that's clearly not what happened.
Right.
So here's another sequence that I think he was just being a dick. Like, watch closely what he says. He says, "He's not yours," and watch her. Just a tear falls down her cheek. And then boom. This is kind of what we see in the security footage.
Yeah, right. But did she come down or did she blast through doors?
I thought she went blast through the door. Well, she does blast through the
doors.
But we also see her blast through the door when she was it No, we see her just go use magic to open the door. She doesn't really blast through it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I mean, like she goes through doors as opposed to
Right.
smashing glass and flying down.
Right.
So I think no one was there to state that she didn't take the body. He's just trying to turn her more into the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then
No.
No. No, I'm just saying I think we find out later in this episode maybe why exactly he has been trying to make her out to be the bad guy. And that
he just wants his weapon. It's a very simple, cut and dry explanation. He wants his weapon back, and he wants it to work. And that's really it. He doesn't see Vision as Vision. He sees Vision as a thing that can be utilized to fight and attack. Exactly.
So here's another callback to Infinity War. Like right before everything kind of gets crazy, is they're by themselves, and she
says, "I can feel you."
Yeah, and here it's I can't feel you. So like, she's so broken up. The amazing Billy Belford in the chat.
Up, Billy?
What's up, Mr.
Yeah, the grief
Loudmouth?
just keeps piling on for her.
Yeah, like you can just sense that she's just like she can't handle it anymore. Like she's just spiraling out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So then she leaves
in her mom car.
In her mom car. Wow.
Like you don't think Tony Stark could have, like left like $1 million to all the Avengers in his death?
What's funny is she could fly if she wanted to.
Right.
Paulina pointed that out again. It's like she's driving. She could fly if she wanted to.
Yeah. But nope, she needs the
that day.
I'm sure that Buick had a high like crash test rating,
Absolutely.
So then we kind of see the events here that come up to leading in the first episode. Do we want to discuss when Vision had the time to buy a deed to a house in New Jersey?
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up was when in the world did he have time to buy land?
Bigger question, did they have to run a credit check?
That's what
I mean, he probably could have forged it, or he paid for it in cash. I don't know. Like there's so many things with this. I'm like, what the hell's going? Like sometimes you got to suspend disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's fun. It's fun to poke at.
Yeah, no, it's a fun thing to poke at, but it's not like a big deal to think that he was able to do that. No. What is interesting is, I mean, you might notice a little more that it's obvious that he left hearts for her. He's literally like in this one here, he had a heart for her on the deed. And in the first episode, he brought the hearts over. He has a heart on the calendar. All that.
That's why she's driving a Buick. He spent all their money for the deed.
So I mean, it's funny though. Like he knew the kind of house that she wanted. She wanted to live that sitcom classic like home style life with him
in one of the most extremely depressing small towns that he could have picked.
I know
that was
like that.
All the brutal grief we saw, like just driving through that town, was probably one of the more heartbreaking things in this episode. Despite all the grief Wanda was feeling.
Yeah, I saw someone put online. It's like Wanda did a good thing. Westview's a shithole.
So we see as she's driving through, we see Dottie's husband. We see Deborah Jo Rutt, so Mrs. Hart, and then we see the mailman delivery guy who's actually
and we saw her neighbor who was on the neighborhood watch before.
Maddie. New Jersey though? Really? New Jersey? Exactly. I'm like, why would you pick New Jersey?
I mean, I grew up in New Jersey.
No one would expect them to be there.
I'm going to New Jersey this afternoon.
Why?
I liked how he was putting up.
And you choose New Jersey.
I'm sorry, blanking on the name. I know you just said it, but the guy with the mustache, he was putting up a piano lessons flyer. He still had his grandma's piano piano at the beginning.
It's Dottie's husband, that guy.
Right, Dottie's husband.
He's the one with the mustache.
Yep. More references
we saw Herb.
to the.
We saw Herb
Herb.
briefly. He looked much more scruffy and kind of like unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is interesting though.
And I love how their place literally is an empty lot. It's just empty. There's nothing there.
They can make it their own.
Yeah. And that's exactly what she does. She literally makes it her own.
And then
the
we see
grief
how
is overwhelming.
Then we see how we have Vision back.
Well, and then to grow old in. I'm trying to get it to the spot where she starts. Yeah, right here. She's just so broken. She's so broke. Like you can just see the
because
pain
all she wants to do is grieve.
And then all of a sudden, it turns to anger and
blam,
boom.
It's almost like the grief that she's experiencing is causing like she can't actually control it as much. Like so throughout this though, she said that she didn't know how it started. As we see this, she's just doing it. She's not necessarily activating this on her own, though.
And then she does it to the entire town.
I'm just curious, is it literally just? And then here's this thing we've talked about it before.
That's how we get Vision.
She's creating life from nothing. But it's the color of the Mind Stone, too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why he can't leave the Hex, because he is a product of the Hex. He's not a reanimated corpse.
Yeah.
Which, seeing that and kind of tying back into him being attracted to her, like maybe in that scene where she was like being tested by Hydra, like some latent Mind Stone energy was in her as well. Like part of the Mind Stone was in her. So the Mind Stone was attracted to the Mind Stone, kind of, again, tying that back in. So that's why we see that yellow energy as well.
There is also the possibility, and it's been discussed before, that, as powerful as she is, she has the power to like create the equivalent to a new stone.
Yeah.
So
we'll
maybe
see.
He is that.
So after this, it gets transitioned into an actual soundstage, and there's only one person in the audience. It's Agatha, and she does the slow clap because that's all she's wanting to do is figure out how she did this. And the
answer was she screamed.
She screamed. Ah! She screamed, and everything came out of her chest. So then we hear the boys yelling, and then Wanda runs outside, and she's like, "I know what you are."
Now she looks like an actual like witch now.
Yeah, she's a witch.
Witch. You ever read that book, Witch?
I've had a sandwich from Witch.
Yeah, you have no idea how dangerous you are. You're supposed to be a myth, and here they say it. They actually say it.
I've got Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV vibes right now.
Did you see that? That's literally what I posted yesterday morning. I did that, and I did hashtag WandaVision. That's all I did. Like, that's what I like to do with these. Like, I like to state about the episode without saying anything. Like, I'll just post a GIF or a short tweet.
And here you are. Use it to make breakfast for dinner.
Renner is good.
Yeah. Get you some nice pancakes from around the corner. We got these lemon poppy seed pancakes.
Looks like Disney Plus's servers just crashed because it won't let me pause or play it.
Well, that's okay.
So, but no, basically what she does is she calls her the Scarlet Witch. Wait, hold on.
She utilizes chaos magic.
Yeah.
I saw something else where there was this reference someone had posted, chaos magic, but then there's also cosmos, and cosmos seems to be the opposite of chaos. I don't know if there's anything there, but Wanda is 100% that witch. Yeah, I think we don't need to pull up the clip when the clip is just her saying Scarlet Witch.
Right.
That a little ham-fisted dropping that name there, but you know,
I think it's also a matter of like, is there a reason behind that phrase? I get it in comics, but in the context of saying it in the show, is it saying it so that way people could be like, that's the name of the character. They said the thing.
Yeah, right.
Or
I think
is
They
it
said they did the thing. They did the thing.
But
Yes,
I mean,
they did
again,
that.
I think the myth that she's referencing, it's like the witch who can use chaos magic is the Scarlet Witch. Like that's what she's referencing. It seemed a little that bit of dialogue seemed a little forced there. I wish she would have done a little more exposition, like the Scarlet Witch is who controls chaos magic, rather than like the Scarlet Witch. Episode done.
Yeah, no. Another way that it could have been phrased a little better. I think recontextualized just a bit again.
Joe, I don't know if she said. I thought she said the, not but
I would check, but Disney Plus isn't.
let me see if I could do it here.
Yeah.
Just on my phone. While we're talking. I mean, like that's the end of the episode, but it's not the end of the episode,
right?
Is it?
No.
We then get a mid-credit scene where we see, again, it's hard to tell. Is it white or is it gray?
I'd say it's. I mean, I think it's in reference to the White Vision.
Yeah. Hold on. I actually.
But.
Hold on. I actually found a panel from a comic book. I'm gonna put it on screen here. Give me a second.
Nice. But no, I think again this episode very, very much shows the chops of Catherine Hahn. Like honestly, after the Halloween episode, I was believing that she wasn't anything, and you know I was wrong, like a dummy. But this was another fun.
Yeah, so the line says here, I'm pulling it back here, and Vision and this whole your children and Vision. This is chaos magic, Wanda, and that makes you the Scarlet Witch. This is the.
So yeah, what I think it is something like the Sorcerer Supreme, or like maybe it's a title.
Hey, like my friend Ben says, cataracts can turn your eyes white if untreated.
I was gonna say, like, interesting. That's a funny thing, and I was just focusing on cataract as another thing to do with eyes and your vision.
Right.
So
yeah, to me that's what it is. But yeah, it's another.
I mean, I guess he just really wanted to give Vision a paint job,
or he's a racist. But
all right. So what we find out in the mid-credit scene is that there is that White Vision, and they're using the chaos magic. They somehow were able to contain it from the drone that she. Yeah, cataract causes double vision.
I get it.
Right? So interesting.
So we have a Vision on the outside. We have Vision on the inside. The Vision on the outside is going to go in and somehow be able to get in without problem, which is curious. I'm wondering how, because nothing else seems to be able to get into there without issue. But I guess we'll see. It's obviously there's going to be some sort of a big fight, and I'm curious to see exactly, because we've seen in the trailer Vision says like, this is our home, let's fight for it or whatever. So they're gonna fight, and it's gonna be a Vision on Vision. And I'm wondering, fight. And now what I'm curious about is when this is over, is Vision going to be back, or is this truly going to be her being able to put Vision to rest? Because
and I'm torn, but I'd say I don't think Vision survives this.
Because like I want Vision to continue, because we didn't really get much of Vision. Outside we had Vision in Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, and now this. Right. And like and that's it. And we could have had so much more. And are the twins going to stay around? Because obviously if her relationship was with a figment version, a hex version of Vision and not a real Vision, are the kids actually real? Because she's holding them hostage. And if they're not real, then what's the big deal there? So
here is the panel that I found.
Oh, Vision.
It's white.
Wanda, is there so significance to this?
So it's not more of the text. It's just we see that there is a white Vision.
I also get a lot of Dr. Manhattan vibes from that image there.
Yeah. It's just the way that he looks. So I want to move
with a big dick. No.
Oh my. So I think we're getting a Vision on Vision fight in this. So Vision is not a VVV.
A double Vision. Yeah, like what Joe was saying.
Vision, though, is not just Vision. It's a combination of Ultron, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner. So he has the Vision that we know has the humanity of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, but this white Vision that we have could just be straight Ultron, which is what he was designed to be. How interesting or cool would it be if the voice is James Spader?
Hey, give me more James Spader. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it because I really liked him as Ultron. I thought that he was a great Ultron. I think that maybe some of the lines and stuff that he was given weren't always the best, but I think that Spader was great. Now, here's the deal. Spader is not going to be whoever the hell it is that's supposed to pop up in the end here because someone's going to be popping up.
I think it's another troll job, and I think Paul Bettany is working with himself because we're getting that Vision v Vision.
Asshole.
right. How much of an asshole would that be?
I always wanted to work with myself. Oh, great.
I mean, it's possible. It is possible that it's him. Or maybe when they were doing the scene with the dialogue, James Spader was on set reading the dialogue. So we don't physically see James Spader, but we hear James Spader. Maybe because you're still doing a scene with him. And maybe James Spader was there for just motion capture for that particular one. But we don't actually physically see the face of James Spader. That would be another one that I would be like, okay, Kevin Feige, that was pretty cool. But like we said earlier, they have a lot to discuss in this final episode. There's a lot that they need to. They don't have to discuss everything and answer everything.
They need to have a satisfying wrap up to this as a series,
right?
Like this specific product. Like
it can't just be a way. It can't just be a waypoint.
There are films that's exactly it. This can't be like the mid-season finale type ending. This has to be able to wrap up this while also being able to provide how it leads into other things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Maddie. How he's like, no. Can you imagine though if there's no cameo and we're just gonna assume, he wanted to work with himself? Like that's that's not narcissistic.
Or
he's a good actor.
It's a big troll job.
If I hear a motorcycle at the end of this last episode, because he's all on the Nick Cage Ghost Rider cameo. So.
There are people that have been saying that what if it's Al Pacino as Mephisto? But I think at this point, I feel like the Mephisto ship has sailed. However, it's curious because of so many references to Mephisto down to the cicada. It's just been I like how much of this was a red herring, how much of this is like planting the seeds for it to crop up somehow. Like it's just
that, Ben, I can guarantee you that will happen.
People will, but also it's because people take so much time to
theorycraft,
analyze and overanalyze.
It's literally like I had said before when I went to the E3 Coliseum 2018 panel on Westworld season 2 before season 2 premiered. I had watched season 1 and I really liked it, and people were theorizing the shit out of that show in that first season. So by the end, they knew all of the big twists. Jimmy Simpson was playing was a younger version of the Man in Black, played by he who will not be named. And then
Ned Ferris.
Yes, Ned Ferris, exactly. And lots of people have said Al Pacino potentially. But it's I would love Nick Cage as Mephisto. That'd be funny. But they then said that
in his Ghost Rider movie, he does interact with
Mephistopheles.
So it's not out of the question.
Yeah. So the big thing is, but with the Westworld thing, they realized like some people felt disappointed by the end of the season 1 because they already figured it out. They had predicted everything. So that
stop doing that
is a problem. Yeah, just stop. Have fun with it. If you predicted and it's correct, cool. But let it just play out. Because otherwise, if people like Feige doesn't care whether or not you're theorizing or not. He's telling his story. And if it's stuff that you predicted, great. If it's not, great. He's not the Westworld writers who saw that people were predicting, so they started writing around how people predict and paid attention to Reddit so they could write in order to make it so that people would be surprised somehow. Didn't work out very well. I gave up very early in season 2. But Feige and company, and we have to give we don't mention her much. Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, head writer of this series.
Yeah.
Great. And Matt Shankman, the director. He's amazing. He's great.
Yeah, they've both done an amazing job.
Or Matt Shackman. Great. Matt Shackman was able to, and Jack have really been able to put an interesting like stamp on the MCU while feeling unique. And it's funny, they feel unique through their reliance of other material. If that makes sense, they've repurposed it so that it feels fresh through its feeling stale. It's interesting. Anthony Hopkins has already been in it, Maddie. They're not going to put Odin in this.
Yeah, that would be too weird. That would confuse a lot of people, especially people who've been watching the MCU.
So what are your guys' one, maybe not out of the box, but like maybe out of the box prediction for next week?
Michael Fassbender will be on. That I'm
I've given up on connecting to that shit. So
hey, I have too, but I'm like, you know what? There's always a chance. Maddie, I don't care.
I'd love to see Doctor Strange still show up somehow if that were to happen. I mean, they got to figure out how to connect. If it's supposed to connect to Spider-Man 3 and it's supposed to connect to Doctor Strange and it's all about multiverses and realities, and Doctor Strange is supposed to be in both of those movies, him popping up here, if it's really supposed to be this like 1, 2, 3 connected tissue mini trilogy thing, that would make sense. It would make sense if they're able to. It's just I don't know how they're going to get to where they need to go to the end of this from here.
So I think what may happen is that we'll have our Vision v Vision fight, and the White Vision will destroy the Vision that Wanda made, and she will break, and she'll create a hex that goes that somehow she does something that opens up the multiverse, and it gets Doctor Strange's attention, and he ends up showing up. I think that's the most likely.
I think the worst outcome is that we don't have any sort of resolution whether Wanda is in the process of overcoming her grief or is consumed by it. If we're still left ambiguity, if there's ambiguity to that, then I think that's the worst possible ending.
Because exactly it. She has to. The whole show has been about her grief. Vision and Paul Bettany, they're a secondary lead in all of this. It's Wanda's story. It's Wanda's story, and it's about her grief and her trauma. And so they need to be able to wrap it up in a way that feels satisfying for that, like that specific thread. That is probably the most important thing, more than just breaking.
And I don't care either way. Whatever the story is, whether she starts to come to terms or is consumed by it, I'm good either way, depending where the story is headed. I just want
and as we saw, she wanted to come to terms with it. That was the whole point. She wanted to come to terms with it, and then this has all been created because she wasn't given the chance to come to terms with it.
Right.
So legendary. Well,
No.
They did state that there is a behind the scenes episode like what they did with Mando. So
yeah, and I think
that's
it's
I don't
just
see
gonna be
the
behind the
point.
scenes.
I don't see the point in hiding a 10th episode.
Yeah, no, it's 9 episodes, and that's all it's going to be. Hopefully, it's just longer. But here's the thing, too, and it's I've noticed this too when we were thinking about like remember Mandalorian season 1, and we were
I
like,
do.
ooh, all this build up and all this crazy and all this fun stuff. How are they going to be able to wrap up and have a satisfying season finale in episode 8? And then and with all that time, and the episode was like maybe 40 minutes or just under, and it was still like it was awesome. And they
Yeah.
did everything they needed to do, and they still left tantalizing stuff for the following season. I think there is a way for them to be able to do this in their normal time frames and make it work. I'm just curious how. So that's one thing where I'm like, I need it to be an hour because I know that they need a lot they got to do. But also, I think of the Mandalorian. Mandalorian doesn't use.
I need it to be a
extended
little
time.
longer than what we've gotten. Whether it's an hour, 40 minutes, 35 minutes, even. Like,
I would be content if the episode's like 58 minutes, but 50 minutes of actual footage. I think that I would be content with. But
Yeah,
if it's like 50 minutes, but 42 minutes of footage, I don't know if that's enough for them to like, because they've said this leads into Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. They didn't say it's like, just by that phrasing means like, I think they'll answer some things, but they won't answer all of them. Brandy,
Matt,
I need 2,314 more episodes.
Maddie, to your point, again, I have no problem if it says to be essentially a to be continued in Doctor Strange 2. There still needs to be some wrap up to to what Ben's the underlying theme of the show.
I think there'll be some questions that are raised at the end that get answered because Spider-Man 3 comes out first. Spider-Man 3 comes out this December.
And the plan was not for Spider-Man 3 to come out first, I think.
Nope, it was not.
But Sony doesn't care. Sony releases stuff the way they want to. Far From Home was not supposed to come out so soon after Endgame. But Sony said, we're going to do it anyway. And so that's why they fucking spoiled certain stuff like the day after Endgame came out in theaters, or they had tantalizing spoilers in their first trailer. So,
yeah. But no, what many states, hear me out. What if they don't wrap? Yeah, I think there'll be like a couple things that they wrap up in this, but it will probably raise more questions that won't get answered. And I think some of them will be answered in Spider-Man 3. Some of them will be answered in Doctor Strange 2, which I'm fine with.
One thing that I've seen, and I think we've talked about it briefly, was there were like things, it was like IndieWire and other places that are just like, this really feels like it's a stretched out movie. Should have just been a movie. No. The fact that it's episodic is crucial to its structure.
Yeah,
that's what it needs to be.
This could not have been a movie. This would have felt like an odd movie. Exactly. Because I'm like, where do you take the breaks? Like, it'd be weird. It just
television makes sense for a lot of the stuff because comic books they're like bite-sized pieces of a story.
Right.
The storytelling of comic books actually it fits perfectly with the incremental doses of story that are given in television and serialization.
Right. I'm with you 100%.
Good.
Again, they haven't.
We have no idea. We
if
don't.
It is cool.
Ralph is fake. Ralph is fake at this point. At this point, Ralph is like who. Ralph was just her doing that whole sitcom shtick, referencing stuff. Yeah,
this. People are
we've been so
spoiled. We are so spoiled
by these movies that are 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever for all these Marvel things, and we've been so spoiled by the Netflix model that it's ruined our ability to just take shows as they come. It's okay.
To be honest, I have no idea.
My thoughts
are familiar.
Agatha's son in the comics, I don't remember his first name, but I believe his last name is Scratch. To me, it's literally an Easter egg, being that it's a bunny, just in reference to what her son's name was.
And also because she's a witch, and sometimes magicians use rabbits. So
magicians use rabbits.
So,
Yep.
but no, I think the only way I'll be disappointed is if I see the episode's like 37 minutes. I will not. That's anything else. I'm fine. Like, I don't care if you don't answer everything because I know that we're getting Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So I'm like, all right, I can wait on those.
I want it to be longer. However, I can't say how long it has to be until I see how they actually execute.
Right, I'm with you, Jeff. Like,
if there's a way that they end up having it be,
if it's 30 minutes and stuff, and it's a fulfilling 30 minutes, great. Then
yeah, I just want to real quick because I know we're pretty much near the end of it. Because
Brandy brings up a good point. If they did it all at once, people would have posted spoilers the day it dropped.
Yeah,
that's what certain shows work better on a week to week than that binge model.
Maddie, I don't know how you could have trusted them up until this point.
All right, so here we go. So Chapter 8, Redemption from Mandalorian, was the longest episode of the series of that season at 48 minutes, including credits.
I would be okay with. I would be okay with 48.
Now, Mandalorian season 2, the final episode was 46 minutes, and there was a lot that happened there in setup and whatnot. So I believe that it really just comes down to how it's executed. It does need to be just a little bit longer than 35 minutes, I think. I think it needs to be a little more, but really we got to see how it happens. I didn't even realize that, 39 minutes had passed by when the credits hit.
Right.
Yeah, like sometimes and then it just depends on the pacing of that particular episode.
You know what I think is going to happen at the end? Mark Hamill's going to show up, and he is Mephisto.
So I heard someone say that he could be what, Clea something, or
Cathan.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Cathan.
Nightmare or Nightmare. And Mark Hamill. So we literally have a Luke Skywalker Mark Hamill cameo. I would be like, cool. I would be so excited. Yes, exactly.
I trust them too, 100%. I think Jack Schaefer is great, and I think what Jack Schaefer has been able to do. Obviously, there's more of a writing team, but I think Jack Schaefer is an exciting addition to the writers for them, and I'm interested to see what she cooked up with Black Widow whenever we get around to that.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Any parting thoughts?
No, I'm excited to see what happens.
Is it Friday yet?
Is it Friday? And then remember, that's going to be March 5th, and then we have what? We got 1 week off, and then the next week we're going to be right into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep. So yeah, and we will be doing our shows on that. You'll see all three of us here. We may have some different guests on as well. Next week we may have a bit of a panel, so everyone be prepared. The episode might approach 2 hours, just because we could have anywhere from 4, 5, 6 people on.
Lots of derailed conversation,
including us, not 4, 5, 6 extra people.
Correct. So we may have like 1, 2, or 3 guests. I know one for sure, probably 2 or 3 more. So it's gonna be fun. Dan, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter at dhouse77. You can find me hanging with the generals in the Action Army and streaming tabletop RPG games on Twitch at McStabber Studios.
Jeff?
Here on this YouTube channel, we do a lot of stuff, and other than that, we got a fun idea cooking that we might be starting up in the next week. We'll announce it soon, but other than that, at GEOFF1106, that'll be where you can find me on Twitter, and that's where I tweet things. I hope this email finds you well.
All right, and you can find me here personally at BrandonBuck88. Make sure to follow our show Twitter at Schmoe Me Money. It'll be a very, very fun time there. We'll have lots of stuff going out here fairly soon. Make sure to like this video. Once the video is over, comment with some theories that you have maybe for that final episode. Who do you think maybe the big cameo could be? Just some things you want to see in that final episode. And if you have not, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow as much as we can here.
Yes,
we
sir.
got lots of content we plan on doing. We do have our main Schmoe Me the Money show going to be this Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific p.m. It's going to be a very fun time. Unfortunately, there are no matches to discuss, but we will find something Schmoedown related to talk about. So it will be fun. See y'all next time.